it's a video that you can go online. You can search it on YouTube. And her business is selling templates for print designers on how to redesign like their print products so that they work all the way through the print process. But she realized that print designers need inspiration. They want to see something new and then be inspired to create something. So what she did was start asking people to send in their examples of really cool folded direct mail pieces. And then every week she profiles another one. She's like, look at what these cool people did. And her business has grown tremendously as a result because people build a relationship with that content brand every week on YouTube. And then they get really excited about who is Trish Witkowski. And then they say, oh, she sells these templates that can help me do this. Oh, well, I'm in, right? So that's putting the audience first. That's a content brand. Think of it like a TV show.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And all right. So let me properly introduce you to our viewers. And I'm so excited. So everybody, hi, I'm Jennifer Lehner, and I am so excited to have someone who I think is probably the most brilliant marketing guy out there, and he's a content marketer, and he's a writer, and he's an author, and to be honest with you, my favorite thing about him is that he is just a really nice guy. So every time I've ever reached out to him, he does, doesn't know me from Adam. I'm just a little peon in the crowd. And look, you even know which way to do the arrow. Okay, I've done like 20 blabs and I don't know how to do that. So, and see, that just shows you how intelligent he is. So my first encounter with Andrew was at Content Marketing World, which is the world's largest content marketing conference here in Cleveland, Ohio. I have to give a shout out to those guys. And when Andrew takes the stage, it's like standing room only. He's a keynote speaker alongside people like, who was the last guy from House of Cards?
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, and I'm sorry, yeah. I think he was good, but Andrew was better. And I say that not to flatter, but seriously, he has this. You have this energy about you that is like I've never seen anybody with your kind of energy. And when you take the stage, you kind of like have us in the palm of your hand. We're on the edge of our seat, and you could make the most boring topics, not that your topics are boring, but you make the most boring topics interesting. So I've seen you speak a couple times now, and every time I'm really just like, I just can't wait. So for you to be here on this blab is really so exciting for me. So first of all, thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for all the compliments. And hi to Bridget. Bridget won Hollywood Squares at Content Marketing World last year, and she was awesome.
And was she here with us?
Yeah, she showed up.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Bridget. Hey, I haven't even welcomed our guests. Hey, you guys. Hey, Sandra. Hey, everybody. Make sure and tell a little bird, because I want everybody to get what I'm sure is going to be like amazing content from Andrew and a cool discussion. So I do want to say that he's just published a new book. It's called Town Inc. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Your first book, I guess it was your first book before this, was Brandscaping, right? Or was there one before that?
Yeah, no, this is Brandscaping. The one before that was a really crappy book of short stories that I'm not even going to tell you the title for.
No, now you have to tell us the title.
Oh man, it was called The Way Things Were. And every time there's like a used copy on Amazon, I buy it so that no one else can read those stupid short stories.
Oh no, I'm sure they're great, but we're always our own worst critic. But
yes,
but you are definitely, just every single thing you do, I'm just always amazed by, and I always want to see like what you're doing next. And if you go to your website, you have like 20 different kind of landing pages, and depending on where you hit, you're going to get something different. And I love like your Lunch with Andrew series, which I recommend everybody opt in for. I don't know what's the link for that, because I want everybody to.
Yeah, sure. That's you'vebeenDrewed.com.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you'vebeenDrewed.com.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to put that. Would someone put that in the chat box?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you. All right. So I want to start at the beginning, if you don't mind. And if you could just sort of tell us how you ended up where you are now. Like, where did this begin? How did you end up here?
Well, I started actually in television. So I was a television producer. I went to Boston University for television and film production. And after I graduated, I was producing two basically live television shows on a local television station in Boston, Massachusetts. I was producing like a call-in medical show where it was basically hypochondriacs that called in to talk to a doctor on the TV about their medical problems. And then actually in the FCC rules, you can't give medical advice on television. So it was a really boring show. You would just talk around the problem and then go tell the viewer to go talk to a doctor. So it's kind of an amusing show, if nothing else. I produced a late night talk show. And then I got a job working in New York. I was a producer for Weekend Today on the Today Show. And then I was producing for the Today Show. Then I got my dream job. It took me 3 years of writing one letter every single month to someone at the Jim Henson Company. And I landed a job working for the Muppets.
What did you say in those letters?
They were all different, but the format was pretty straightforward. It was like, hey, congratulations on something. So I'd congratulate them on a new show or an award they've won or a new hire. And then I'd give them some advice on what I thought they could do to make, change their business or do something different or drive some new revenue. And then I told them if they ever wanted to chat to give me a call. And I would FedEx the letters. This was in the 90s. So I would put it in a FedEx envelope and overnight it to the person. And then finally a guy called, a guy named Peter Van Roden, who was the executive in charge of production. And I'd probably sent him 20 letters. And he called me and said, look, stop sending me these letters. I don't have a job for you. And so I said, stop sending the letter. Give me a half-hour meeting. And I went to the half-hour meeting. And at the end of the meeting, he basically offered me a job as the production manager for the workshop where they made the puppets. So I spent 2 years kind of trying to help them build their business and change the way they were, making shows and stuff. And actually, it was not a good time for the Jim Henson Company, which is a whole nother story. But anyway, I ended up learning a ton about what makes great marketing, what makes great content, what makes great shows at the Jim Henson Company. Then I left that and went and worked in the startup world as a marketing guy, as a weird transition. And then in 2001, I founded a marketing agency with a guy named Jim Costco, who was a journalist, and we didn't know anything about marketing agencies stuff. So we built our own agency, and then we sold it in 2012. And now I'm wandering around and writing books and speaking to people all over the world. That's the short story.
All right. So what about Bear in the Big Blue House? You didn't mention that.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I worked on Bear in the Big Blue House. It was a great show. And Bear in the Big Blue House is what really taught me a lot about marketing, actually, because Bear in the Big Blue House, if you guys remember that show, it was basically when I started, they were hugely over budget. They were about $500,000 over budget on the whole season, and they hadn't shot an episode of the show yet. And my job was to get it back on budget. And so I worked really hard trying to figure out how to get it back on budget. And it turned out they actually weren't that interested in getting it back on budget. And I couldn't figure out why until I met with these two women who ran the merchandising and licensing team at the Jim Henson Company. And they basically showed me that the Jim Henson Company is all about making great content, and you've got to fall in love with Bear in the Big Blue House. You've got to fall in love with the characters. You've got to fall in love with the show. And at that point, you can then merchandise and license. You can fall in love with the characters, and then you'll buy a Bear in the Big Blue House plush doll or sleeping bag or pillowcases or whatever because you love the show so much. And then if I got in the way of creating great content, they would have nothing to license. So I don't know if you guys remember a show called The Wibbleless World of Dr. Seuss. That was the show that was right before Bear in the Big Blue House. No one remembers it because it didn't work, and it was because they tightened the budget so badly that the show was terrible. I mean, it was one of the worst television shows I've ever seen, hands down. And they realized that they couldn't do this again. So I realized then that I should stop worrying about the budget and make sure that the show is so good that everybody would love to buy a Bear in the Big Blue House plush doll. And from a marketing standpoint, this is what we preached as an agency, and this is what I continue to preach, that if you create content so good that it builds trust with the audience, that relationship that you've built will drive revenue. So the quote I always yell out is, content builds trust, trust builds relationships, and relationships drive revenue. Content, trust, revenue.
Yeah, it makes sense. Which also, well, okay, I have a question on that, but I have to go back to your TV background. Was Charles Kuralt as nice as he seemed? Did you hear that?
Oh, I was a writer for Charles Kuralt's show called An American Moment. Yeah. There's like a delay.
You're like freezing up and stuff.
Does it look like I'm freezing? Sorry, that was me.
Okay.
Oh man. I'm on like Wi-Fi in the office. Yeah, Charles Kuralt was a really nice guy, unbelievably great storyteller, and I learned a ton about how to tell a great story from Charles Kuralt. I mean, his stories were all about like emotion. Can you get the audience to feel something? And that's what was powerful about what he did. If you don't know Charles Kuralt, you should Google
him. He had the best voice. He had such a great teddy bear voice. Okay, I need to pause for just one moment because I really didn't give Janine a proper introduction. So Janine Byrne over here in the corner, who actually goes by Joe Byrne, she is with a company called See Your Words. Check her out at seeyourwords.com. She is amazing. And I mean, the creative energy in this room right now, just with these two people, is like blows my mind. So Janine, she takes concepts and ideas and she draws them, and so you get a graphic notes from your meeting. And she is for hire, I have to say that. So if anybody out there, wants would like to have Janine on their virtual meeting, she even does stuff like for people's PowerPoints and presentations that are going to happen after the fact, because she just is so smart about. Because here's the thing: like, imagine going to a meeting about, I don't know, Janine, like what's one of your really weird meetings that's like totally out of her wheelhouse, like NASA, or what's some of the other ones? Football, the Cleveland Browns. What else? We can't hear you. Just draw it. No.
Oh, I can't hear her. She'll have to draw it.
You have to draw it.
First word.
We'll play a little bit of charades. That would work. That would totally work on Blab. But anyway, she goes and yeah.
Jen,
What?
No, I was just going to say that like graphic recording is such an amazing thing. It's such a great way to visualize content, and I'm a big fan of it. So I actually didn't know Janine before this, so this is really fun.
Well, she's been doing content marketing world the last couple of years. So, but there's that lady there, Kelly, and Janine is now helping there too. So yeah, well, she's only in
Kelly
some. Yeah, she's only in some of the gigs. We still can't hear you. So yeah, but I think so. It's not just about drawing. It's about she's got to like it's not about being a good artist. You got to be a good listener. So I'm always amazed like how she makes these things come together. And I'm actually trying to convince her to create a course for graphic artists so that they could make a living out of this. Because she said, Jennifer, I don't know. She goes, this isn't for everybody. I'm like, no, you should just market it to graphic artists, because graphic designers right now are having a hard time with all these services springing up like 99 Designs, and all these people are not hiring graphic designers like they used to. And anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. Let's look right now before we move any further and see if there's do we have any questions from our audience? Not yet. Oh, I do want to say, so we've got Andrew. I told our city about you, Shaker Heights. So before we went on, I emailed Shaker Heights, the city office, the marketing department. I told them that they might want to join in on this, and I sent the video clip of you talking about your book, Town Inc. And they're here. So I want them to be able to come in and take a seat and ask you some questions, but they're having a hard time. I think Jason, also known as Tech Stud, Blab Stud, is, I think, assisting them right now. Are you still here, Jason? Because we do want them to take a seat, because I want to hear all about like what inspired you to write this next book about cities of all things. I mean, so how did you end up wanting to write about towns?
Well, I mean, so I travel a lot as a speaker all over the world. And, as I was doing the travel the last 3 years, especially in the United States, I started realizing that there's a big disparity between the places that are successful and the places that are kind of troubling, and they're struggling to prosper. And I wanted to figure out why. You know, I had this question, and I can tell you exactly when I first had the question. I went to Warsaw, Indiana, and I drove from Indianapolis to Warsaw, which is like an hour and a half or something. And along the way, I saw these dying towns, you know, like dead downtowns, and like they look like they're like empty factories. And then I drove into Warsaw, Indiana, and Warsaw, Indiana was amazing. It was like fountains and signs and beautiful downtown, real cute little place. And all of a sudden I was like, what is it that Warsaw is doing that no one else is doing? And why are they so successful? So I started going around and asking this question, trying to figure it out. And it turned out what I found essentially, and what the book's about, is all about how businesses are helping to shape their communities by marketing the place they do business more than the business they do. So that's.
I see myself, and Andrew is pulsating.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, and we can hear you. Hey. Okay.
Hey, yeah, I can see you, Janine. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what's going on, but
oh no,
it's all right. We're just the show has to go on. All right. So Warsaw was the last thing you said. So Warsaw was.
We're breaking
horrible.
Blab.
Yes, we are, with all 12 people. What?
Yeah.
What happened in Warsaw? Why was Warsaw so? Why was Warsaw so crappy?
So nice. Warsaw was nice. What was really amazing. That's all right. Warsaw, Indiana is the orthopedic capital of the world. So all of a sudden they've kind of built this entire industry around orthopedic manufacturing, and they file more patents in Warsaw, Indiana per capita than anywhere else in the country. It's an unbelievably innovative kind of community. They've got manufacturing and legal services and accountants and all sorts of other amazing stuff going on in this little town. And what I found in town after town after town was that there were businesses that were marketing the place they do business more than the business they were doing it. So for example, the people in Warsaw market the fact that Warsaw, Indiana is the orthopedic capital of the world more than they market the fact that they work for Revra Dupuy's orthopedic company. And this happened over and over. I went to Hamilton, Missouri. They are the quick quilting capital of the world. And this woman in town, her name's Jenny Doan. She's saved the town entirely by marketing the fact that you can come to the Missouri Star Quilt Company in the middle of nowhere in Hamilton, Missouri, and learn how to quick quilt.
What's quick quilt?
So these are the kinds of things I found along the way. And oh, it's such a silly thing. It's basically creating a quilt in a day instead of a year. Like it's like shortcuts on how to get a quilt done. And actually, Jenny Doan has an amazing YouTube channel. Every Thursday, she uploads another quick quilting tutorial, and she's got 240,000 subscribers. 160,000 of those watch every single video she releases on Thursday. And she's built a $30 million or $50 million
That's
business.
That's amazing. All right, YouTube. I have to read this quote from this book. So awesome. Andrew says in his book, good. Town Inc., the difference between prosperity and economic struggle comes down to one simple thing: a visionary business leader or leaders relentlessly fostering an audacious claim. So I think audacity is like probably a common thread with you as well in your life. I think you're audacious, and that you recognize that as a quality.
Thank you.
That matters in a lot of ways. And so, how does that work for a town? I mean, audacious also like takes some bravery, right? Like if a town is going to stick their neck out and be like, "Woo, orthopedic capital of the world," and get behind that, like that's kind of. How are you going to convince your board of directors to get behind that?
Yeah, it's a good question. What I found is these kinds of leaders. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
There's a delay. It's like we're on an international phone call and it's really slow. This is what it was like in the old days. Yeah, audacity is really an important quality, I think, for any business person. So I don't care what business you're running. Like, you've got to be audacious. You really have to stake a claim and really be convincing that you've got a vision for where you want to go, and you're going to stop at nothing to make it happen. And for me, the bigger the idea, the better it is. So I love being audacious, or thinking that I'm audacious. And I seem to be attracted to people who are. And what I found in the book and you know, when I was writing Town Inc., but also meeting these people, was that they actually didn't worry about convincing the board. You know, Jenny Doan didn't go to the town of Hamilton and say, we should make signs that say we're the quick quilting capital of the world. No one in Warsaw, Indiana said, let's put up a sign that says we're the orthopedic capital of the world. The business leaders themselves said it would be best for our business if we actually made a claim that wasn't about us, that got people to think of our place as a place to do this kind of business. So Elkhart, Indiana actually is the RV capital of the world, the recreation vehicle capital of the world. And they've reduced the cost of creating a recreational vehicle by bringing the entire supply chain into Elkhart, Indiana. That's a huge amount of jobs. It's like $6.1 billion a year that pump through that economy just because the RV industry is there. So whatever business you're in, like, I even talked to someone who's a self-publishing guy. He's actually in Seven Hills, Ohio, Jen, and he was like, well, can I be the self-publishing capital of the world? I was like, sure. Like, you got to stake that claim and you've got to really build on it. It's not about trying to get the board involved, because they water it down and it ends up meaning nothing. And it becomes just a marketing slogan, not something real. So the people that are really changing America, I think, for the better, are business people who are marketing the place they do business more than the business. You
always have the best lines like that. That's really a good line. Will you say that again?
Yeah, sure. I'll say it slower. In fact, I always want to challenge people with a question. So the question I would want you to ask is, what would happen if I marketed the place I do business more than the business I do? That's it. What would happen if I market the place I do business more than the business I do? Like, you should go look at Jenny Doan's commercial. She has a YouTube ad that she's created. And the ad isn't really about what she does. I mean, she mentions it, but she really says, hey, I'm Jenny Doan from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. You know, I'm so glad you're watching our ad, or whatever. It's the funniest little commercial. And she says, you should come visit us in Hamilton, Missouri, where we have the world's largest supply of pre-cut fabrics. And she just invites people to come. People have flown there's a woman who flew from Tehran, Iran, and then she got a car service to bring her from St. Louis, Missouri, all the way to Hamilton, Missouri, so she could meet Jenny Doan and come see the world's largest supply of pre-cut fabrics in the world. And that woman knows where Hamilton, Missouri is. She doesn't even know where Kansas City, Missouri is, but she knows where Hamilton, Missouri is. That's the power of thinking like that. Yeah. And Sandra's right. It is about making connections.
So what about Detroit?
Oh, sorry. Sandra. Oh, Detroit's my favorite chapter in the book. I'm so glad you asked. I have a chapter called Saving Detroit. And it's actually about one business, a company that's called Shinola. Some people might know it, actually. I saw that. Yeah, so they've opened 16 retail stores in the United States in the last year. And Shinola did a study. This is what's amazing about Shinola. Shinola wanted to figure out where they should base their business. And they were like, you know, we could build watches in Texas. We could make watches in Ohio. Where should we make watches? So they asked consumers to look at a pen. And they said, hey, this pen is made in China and it's $5, okay? And then they brought out another pen that looked just like it. And they said, this pen is made in the US and it's $10. So this is the made in USA pen for $10. Which one would you buy? And people said, oh, I'll buy the Chinese pen. I don't need the made in the USA pen. I'll buy the $5 one. So then they added to it a third pen. And they said, okay, that's great. What about this pen? It looked exactly the same. This pen is made in Detroit. and they said, this one is $15. Which one would you buy? And a specific segment, a very high quality audience for them, said, I'll buy the $15 pen over the US pen and over the Chinese pen. So that's why they based their business in Detroit. So that means that if you, Shinola, their brand says Shinola Detroit on it. And that's the reason it says that, is because they know that it adds an additional brand value to the pen itself. And all of a sudden, all the connotations, the grit and the manufacturing powerhouse and all the skills that come with that being from Detroit make the pen more valuable. So I actually claim that Detroit could be the luxury manufacturing capital of America if more brands realize that attaching themselves to being made in Detroit actually would drive more revenue for them. And I'm not the only one that said this. I mean, actually, Pernod Ricard, the people that import vodka, and they're one of the world's largest beverage importers, they actually just opened up a new brand in Detroit. They're distilling vodka. It's called R Vodka Detroit. And it's doing unbelievably well. So there are lots of brands that have realized this. But I really think thinking this way about how much value the place adds to your brand and your business can be really, really important to building your business. Like, oh, go ahead, Jen. Sorry. Everybody should go look at their About Us page. Like, just go read your About Us page on your website. I don't care if you're just one person and you run a little consulting firm, or you have 5,000 employees and you're based wherever you're based. I want you to go see if it tells me on the About Us page why you're based where you're based. Because in the online world, we have this belief that being from somewhere doesn't necessarily matter, because I can hire a web design firm in Vancouver, or I can hire one in Bangalore, India. It doesn't seem to matter. But actually, you can add value to your brand and your company. You can even charge higher prices by being from somewhere.
You always blow my mind. See? That really is so
mind blown.
Because here's another thing. Like, you talk about like MOI equals ROI, right? Like another genius, like Druism. So like moment of inspiration equals, return on investment. And right. And so it's
investment.
And then I started thinking, but like so many of us, like in our viewers right now we're independent solopreneurs. And so we don't have like a company that is good. I mean, where's the moment of inspiration in like being a digital marketing strategist? Like, not so much, like, it's not so, you know what I mean? It's not like crowds are cheering for that marketing strategist or whatever, or that video editor, but it's such an easy thing to be able to sort of tie yourself into the place where you live. That's like, I'm not saying that's going to be the moment of inspiration for like my business or someone else's, but I guess any business in general, to sort of bring that into your identity is so smart. And especially when you live in a place as cool as Cleveland.
That's right.
Yeah,
like, hey, look, what's funny is you can do it for anywhere. Like, if you asked me, hey, Andrew, I'm going to hire a video editor, and I can either hire a video editor from Boston or one from LA, I immediately think that the video editor in LA must be better, because that's where all the movies come from. That's where all the TV shows come from. Now that's not true, right? Obviously, there are good editors everywhere. So you need to build a story that makes me believe that there's not a better place to hire the services you provide than the place you do business. And actually, Bridget just asked if it matters, like, what if you're a virtual organization? What if you don't have a company headquarters anywhere? And I actually think it's a great question. I think there's benefit to being from somewhere. So who's your CEO? Where are they based? And why are they based there is a really good question to ask. Even if they're based on a little island in the middle of the Pacific, there must be a reason they're there, and make that add value to your business and what you guys do. So if you are a virtual business, every employee should tell me where they are from and why. Like, that adds a huge amount to the story and the reason I want to work with a virtual business.
Will you go back to that video editor though and talk about if they're from, like, if they're not from anywhere, or what a moment of inspiration could look like for a boring brand or a solo brand that's not from anywhere and is not so terribly exciting? Like,
yeah.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah. So the moment of inspiration. No, that's all right. The moment of inspiration is the instant in time that sends people on a journey that they never expected. So if you're a digital marketing strategist or you're a video editor, you can either market the fact that you're a digital marketing strategist and you're a video editor and convince people that you can edit their videos better than anyone else and put together a great marketing strategy. But you're already competing with a lot of other people in that space. If I was a video editor, what I'd rather be doing is convincing people through the content I'm creating or the content that I'm involved in to actually create a video. So yeah, I only do the editing, but you've got to be inspired to create a video to build your business before I can edit your video that you don't have yet. And the same goes for digital marketing strategy. Stop telling me about a great digital marketing strategy and start inspiring me to rethink my digital marketing entirely. Like, go back to the very beginning, look at the advertising I'm doing, think about that kind of stuff, and then convince me, again, through content, to inspire me to go on that journey that results in hiring you as my digital
It makes so much sense. And you guys,
does that make sense?
The people who just joined us and anybody who might not be familiar with Andrew, I think, he's audacious. We mentioned that, but also, like, you are a big thinker. And I really appreciate that, because I think that it's really easy to get caught up in the minutia and the sales funnels and and the conversions and this. I mean, this is it really is. And we're reading all this information, and then here you come out of the blue and you're like, less content. Like, what? We're supposed to be doing a lot of content. Yeah. And I'm like, right. Wait. And so I really encourage everyone to, if you haven't read Brandscaping, pick up Brandscaping. New book is Town Inc. It's awesome. And then there's something else I wanted to ask you about. So if you could tell the story, and I'm sort of jumping around, but if you could tell the story about Breville, and was that your idea?
Yeah. That was a client of ours. Yeah, it wasn't my idea. It was an agent's. It was part of the projects we worked on at the agency. I'm happy to tell that story. Let me just quickly point out Frank at Frank Clark Coach. He just changed his Twitter bio and added where he was from. So now it says New York-based entrepreneur mentor with expertise in finance. That is exactly what I'm talking about, because if I'm going to hire a mentor that knows anything about finance, I want to hire a guy that lives in the financial capital of the world. I want someone that comes from New York. I don't want some guy necessarily in Tampa Beach, Florida, like working on his laptop on the beach. I want someone that's close to the action, understands what it takes. So Frank, big props to you. That's awesome. Okay, I'll tell you quickly about Breville. Basically, Breville, if you don't know them, it's Breville. They sell like kitchen countertop appliances. So, blenders and mixers and microwave, not microwave ovens, smart ovens, like toaster ovens that are really fancy. They're not cheap, so they're not like $20 toaster ovens or sandwich presses. It's like $100 to $300. So they're going after a very specific audience, and they wanted to sell more juicers, like the things that you put an apple in and then you press it down and it spews out juice. So here's the thing. They realize that every year they sell about the same amount of juicers, and think about when you want a juicer. If you go to Google Trends, by the way, this is a great tool. It's the most underutilized marketing tool on the planet. You have to try Google Trends, google.com/trends. Okay. And if you type in juicing, you will see that there's a spike at the beginning of every year. Why is there a spike at the beginning of every year?
Because people want to lose weight and it's the new year. Right.
Yes, New Year's resolutions, right? They're like, hey, it's a New Year's resolution. And so what happens to that juicer after 3 months? By March, it's in your basement. You're like, forget it. The juicing is too hard. I ran out of veggies. I'm not doing this anymore. And then there's also another spike. There's like a hump right in the middle of the summer. Jen, why? Exactly. You have to put on a bathing suit. So it's bathing suit season. Simon got New Year's resolutions too. That's exactly right. Like, you've got to start getting into the mind of the consumer. Those are the moments of inspiration. That's the moment that sends them on a journey to buy a juicer. I want to lose weight. I got to fit into my bathing suit. So what Breville decided to do was actually partner up with a guy who was an Australian guy who juiced his way across America.
It was really good.
A 90-minute documentary film.
Yeah.
90 minutes. It's a good movie. And they put it on Netflix in July of 2011, I think, or 2012, 2011. And basically, all of a sudden, men started juicing. They would watch a 90-minute documentary that was all about this one guy's journey to get healthy. It wasn't about losing weight. He just was 40 years old. He felt fat. He felt overweight. He felt sickly. He had a rare skin disorder, actually. And he juiced for 60 days straight, and he cured the skin disorder, lost a ton of weight, was unbelievably healthy. He exercised all the time. And at the end of it, you actually really see the impact it could make. So all of a sudden, men around the world started juicing. And Breville actually, in 3 weeks, sold out of juicers worldwide. Worldwide. You could not buy a juicer. So, you know, the lesson really is, if you focus on the moment of inspiration, you understand what inspires people. Your goal should be to create your own moments of inspiration. And Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, the name of the movie that Breville worked on with Joe Cross, the second version, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead 2, just came out in January, and it did the exact same thing. Sold millions of juicers. And Simon's right. It's like Blendtec. Like, those guys, they're blenders. Oh, that's Blender Brothers. Yeah, Blender Brothers is similar, right? Like, they've focused on really creating those moments of inspiration for people, and it's really smart. Frank brought a juicer, and he still juices. Was it because of the movie, yes.
Frank? It was very inspiring. I already had a juicer, but I did go and juice more after I saw the movie. I totally
did. There you go. And they actually partnered with Whole Foods, because they realized that if you had a juicer, just like you said, Jen, and you went up and bought the juicer, you know, got your juicer from the basement, you'd go to Whole Foods to buy a bunch of veggies, and it was good for Whole Foods. So yeah, Frank bought a blender. I think it looks like he has an Omega.
Okay, so we got to cover a couple more things. One is, I want to answer Sandra's question, and I'm going to click answer question. I haven't used this feature of Blab again. Isn't that cool? So, so any tips on becoming a jaw-dropping speaker?
Oh man, good question, Sandra. Yeah, this is something I think about a lot. I'll give you some quick tips. Number one, if you want to be a great speaker, don't talk about yourself ever. Okay, like, I don't care why you're here. I don't care that you're excited to be here. I don't need your bio as the first 10 slides. You've got to earn people's respect by actually challenging them and giving them great ideas. And if you start that way, you can earn the right to tell me about yourself, which means I try to think about, you know, making sure that I've actually challenged the audience. I've shown them something really interesting and exciting. And if I'm going to talk about myself, I make it relevant to the topic, and I keep it only relevant to the topic. So I'll say, how did I happen upon this idea? Let me tell you where I came upon it. And then I keep going. I don't harp on myself. So one of the keys then means, like, try to replace I with we. Anytime you think about it, that's an easy a tip. I think number two, dive right into the problem. Like, you know, you've got to get people immediately thinking about an issue that you're going to help solve. And I'll give you a quick outline. If I was going to put it together a presentation, let me see if I can remember it. But I've come up with this outline that I use for almost every presentation. What's the big problem that we're trying to solve, and show it to me, like, get me really understanding and seeing myself in that problem. Then number two, you essentially have got to show me what the solution is as one big idea. Okay. Show me what the solution is, and so that it helps change my way of thinking. Then show me a great example of someone who's implemented that thinking specifically and the results that it's delivered. Then this is where I insert the kind of how I came upon this idea right there. And then I go into kind of some simple secrets that you could use, or the tips and tricks that might help you 4 or 5 of those, but in every single one of those, I don't just give you the tip. I tell you a story that's designed to illustrate the benefit of doing exactly what I'm going to tell you to do. And then I wrap it up by kind of reverse engineering what I just told you. So
oh my God.
I hope that was helpful.
No,
Sandra. That sounded like a million
I would say that was very helpful. I mean, I just regret that I wasn't able to take notes, but thank goodness we're going to have a replay. So that was awesome. So you also use Prezi. I've noticed you don't use a typical slide deck, and you don't have boring, like, you're just not typical.
Well, Prezi, if you haven't tried it, you definitely should try it. Actually, that would be great, Sandra. Sometimes changing tools will help you rethink how you present. So I would Prezi, it's Prezi.com. They're a Hungarian company, and I actually was one of their first 50 paying customers in 2009, and I've been using Prezi ever since. And it's I find it very, I don't know, freeing to just be able to think outside of a square and animations. I like to be able to put everything on the board, so to speak, on the canvas, and then kind of move it around and organize a presentation in a much more effective way for me. It doesn't work for everyone.
What I want to say is that Prezi is the perfect way for you to talk about fractal marketing, which Don, jogged my memory, because we have to talk about that for a second. Because selfishly, I just don't know how to do fractal marketing, because I don't want to just do like digital marketing for dentists, or like I could do that. I know that would be better. Like I know that I could get to where I want to be faster if I did find that hole in the market and be like, lawyers need me, or whatever. And I know that they do, and I could, but I don't want to just work with lawyers. So it does make my job tougher to be like digital marketing strategist for the world. It's just stupid. I understand that. But so back up and tell people what fractal marketing is, please.
Okay. Yeah. So fractal marketing is very simple. It's a cool sounding word for just a very simple concept. It's dividing and subdividing your audience until you find a valuable branch that you can target at higher value and higher margins with higher relevancy. So here, I'll draw one. I have note cards for it, for just this. So essentially, it looks like this. I'm sorry, I'm trying. You can see, yeah. So like, let's say you were a travel agent, right? Is this? Yeah, Janine's really worried about her job right now. She's like, "This is pathetic, idiot." But so this is your for you. This is Jen. This would be your. Yeah. I'm a digital strategy person, right? Like, you would put that at the trunk. Well, that's everybody in the world could use your digital strategy, right? You've got to start dividing and subdividing your audience so that at some point you're providing such a high value service, so relevant to so many people, that you make more money than the digital strategist at the trunk. I'll give you a good example. So a friend of mine, Diana Huff, she's become a friend. She saw me speak, and every time I speak, I invite anyone to call me on. I'll spend half hour on the phone with you. I do it every Friday. I spend 30 minutes with someone who just wants to chat or brainstorm or think through these issues. And she called me up, and I spent a half hour on the phone with her, and she was a marketing consultant. That's it. Just a marketing, and her business was kind of floundering. She was doing okay. She wasn't struggling. She wasn't, her business was fine, but she really felt like there was potential there. And we did the fractal tree. So I said, okay, who are your clients? And she was like, oh, anyone that needs marketing support. And I was like, okay, but let's rethink that. Who are your best clients? And she started writing down, oh, they come out of manufacturing. And I was like, are they big manufacturers or small manufacturers? And she said, oh, they're mostly smaller manufacturers, the ones that spend the most money with me, and they've been clients for years. And then I said, oh, okay, are they 20 employees or are they 200 employees? And she said, oh, they're probably in the 20 range. Then we divided it again. And she said, oh, what also is funny? They're all owned by the family. They're not like a corporate company that are privately held. They're a family-run business. And all of a sudden I said, well, why don't you do that then? And so over the course of 3 months, she changed her business to just be for mom and pop manufacturers. And she provides digital marketing strategy and consulting for those people. And by the end of the year, her business had completely transformed. She sent me an amazing email about the fact that she had changed the company name and she was now more profitable and more successful than she'd ever been. And she couldn't imagine ever going back. So the goal is that these people can see you're relevant. You can show me you're relevant instead of telling me how relevant you are. And if you go read Diana Heff's blog posts, you will notice immediately that it's not for you. And that's the exact point. It's self-selecting. Every mom and pop in the world that manufactures something could read those posts and they'll go, oh my gosh, this is me. So I want you to get rich by targeting a niche, Sandra. Or if you're from Canada, get rich by targeting a niche.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, well, I feel like so we have about 15 minutes left before we hit the 1 hour mark, and I would love to open up the seat if that's all right with you, so that we can get all right. So Sandra's going to come in and talk to you, but just get ready because really between the two of you, I think we might just get blasted out of our seats because so much energy. Okay, here we go. I'm just saying. Okay.
Hey, I'm not even dressed today. Look, I had to show Andrew the bird. Like, come on, people.
It's slow on my end.
Tell a little bird. Hey. All right, I'll do it.
A little bird. I just wanted to come in to thank you. I'm jumping out of my seat in my kitchen, and you just keep saying the words, inspire them, inspire them, inspire. It's like going through my head. Look at my name. Look what I call myself. God. I just wanted to thank you. I'm so impressed with this interview, and I'm so inspired. And I am a speaker. I call myself a motivational speaker, and the tips were awesome. I'm definitely not, Jen can tell you, like a PowerPoint type person. So I did look at Prezi. I haven't used it yet, but I make all my slides and my presentation kind of come to life with non-boring things. So I loved everything that you were saying. And I just wanted to thank you, basically. That's why I'm popping in. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, I'm so glad you're enjoying it, and I'd love. You should send me a video of you speaking. I'd love to see it. I'm always interested in. I learn a ton from watching other speakers. In fact, one of the things I did maybe 4 or 5 years ago was I started at every single conference. I would sit and watch all the speakers. And I would outline their presentation so that I could go back and look at how it did. And then I'd also watch the audience's reaction to things. And that's how I started to kind of refine my approach to speaking. What works, what doesn't work, what do some people do that works and what doesn't, what do other people do. So,
although I'm sure everybody was just smiling with delight the whole way through your talk, but I would be like, ugh.
No. You know what's funny is a lot of speakers videotape themselves, while they're presenting, or they record themselves. What I actually do is record the audience because I learn a ton more by rewatching the video from their perspective. And I can see when people take notes. I can see when the board guy gets out his phone and starts doing his email. And I look at where I was in the presentation and try to figure out was it my fault or the guy just got a text that he couldn't ignore? How many of these talks are you doing? How often do you speak? Like how many nights a year? I speak about 40 times a year. This year I flew about 500,000 miles. I did 3 times around the world. In 45 days, I was in 15 countries, I think, during that tour. What's the most unusual request? But it's not. What's the most unusual request you've had? Oh. I don't know if there's very many unusual. What about the most unlikely company, or group of people that? Oh, yes. Okay, this is a great question. I was asked to speak at a conference for people for a company called Basement Systems. Okay, and when they called me, I said, well, what the heck is Basement Systems? And they're like, oh, you know, if your basement floods a lot, we put in the French drain that so that it doesn't flood anymore.
That's exciting.
And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm the right guy for this audience. Yeah, they're like, we're going to have 3,000 plumbers. And I was like, oh, man, all right. But I will tell you, it was an amazing experience. Amazing.
Did you walk in with your pants down,
so
showing a little crack? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. a little plumber's crack. Yeah, exactly. I learned a ton at that event. You know what? Basement Systems turned out to be an amazing marketing story that I just never heard of. And Jen, I will tell you that I'm introduced to a lot of businesses that I would never have heard of if I hadn't been invited to speak in these weird industries. Go ahead. So Basement System takes the cake.
So I have a couple of little bit feedback for you. So first of all, you're so inspirational and uplifting. You could speak to bugs on a ground crawling around, and they'd probably be jumping up and down. But I love the idea that, you know, you don't know what could happen. I always say you never know how or when you might touch another life, whether they're plumbers, lawyers, business people, whoever they are. Everyone needs your gift and your message. And I love a couple of things I've been observing. He kind of like jumps around in his seat, and I love his glasses. Like everything about him I love. And the other thing I'm learning, Andrew and Jen, as I've been speaking and presenting, one of my mentors told me, give everyone in the audience a feedback form, and if they fill it out and turn it in, give them a prize. And it's been working like a charm. In fact, I might do it like as a freebie on my website. Basically, I want to become better at what I do. And I love when he said, Jen, watch the audience, because I constantly, when they're picking out the tissues and they're crying, I'm like inspiring them. I don't know. But no, watch the audience. I love. But when I get this feedback, it's awesome because like in the beginning, Andrew, they'd be like, you talk way too fast. I'm like, no shit. And I have a Boston accent. Okay. So, but a lot of times in the beginning, and I've been doing this for years, I would have notes, right? And everyone kept saying, I'm a Toastmaster too. They kept saying, ditch the notes, Sandra, speak from the heart. And I'm like, but I need this crutch. And all the feedback people were like, ditch the notes and just speak. And it took a while to let go. It was like the training wheels. And after that, it just flows. You know, they're either going to like me or they're not going to like me. I don't even care. But great tips. I love that.
That's funny. Oh, I love the feedback and insight. I actually, you know, I've been using Prezi as a crutch. And a lot of people have told me, hey, I think you'd be a great speaker even if you didn't have Prezi and a presentation. And I don't know, you've just re-inspired me to say, you know what, I should try it without Prezi and see how it goes. You? So I'm going to do it. I'll let you know how it goes. I'll let you know.
Well, and Andrew, so that Don is asking, so on that note, other than yourself, who are two of your favorite, most impactful speakers to learn from?
Thanks, Don. I actually don't. I don't think I'm a good speaker to learn from as much as I think. Let me think. I would say number one, I've learned a ton from Jay Baer. If you've never seen Jay Baer speak, he's a really talented speaker. He's really a smart guy on top of that. But the way he delivers a message, I think, is beautifully executed. His pacing and his kind of tempo is really beautifully executed. So Jay Baer is definitely on the top of that list. I'm trying to think of someone that's outside of my style that I've really, really liked. Let me think. Oh, you know who I really like? And someone I totally admire and cannot execute but is a guy named Tim Washer. And I'm trying to give you speakers that not everyone knows, and maybe you'll learn from me some, because I love other people like Tony Robbins, and there are a lot of giants that I think are great. But Tim Washer is worth watching because he's a comedian by trade. So he started in stand-up comedy. He wrote for The Daily Show and all sorts of other shows. And then he got a job at Cisco Systems, like working as a corporate guy. And his job was to infuse comedy into their marketing. And when you see him speak, it's like one part stand-up comedy, one part like marketing genius, and one part like corporate event, all in one. It's really, I think that takes a lot. Yeah, he's really good. So I look at those guys.
And were you?
Tim Washer is really funny. But I'll just tell you can I just tell you my favorite slide I've ever seen in my life? Tim Washer has a slide. It's a pie chart. And he's like, oh, I did some research, and it turns out that after my survey was complete, I surveyed 1,000 B2B marketers. It turns out 83% of all B2B marketers are people.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, that's genius. That's the kind of stuff he does. It's really nicely woven through. So Don, you should check out those. If
Have
those
you always been
helpful.
kind of fearless to get up in front of a crowd? I mean, I know you started, didn't you do like a honeycomb commercial or something when you were a kid?
Oh, man.
Honeycomb or something?
Wow, that's funny. Not honeycomb, but I did do lots of I didn't do a honeycomb commercial. I did Cadbury's chocolate commercials. I did McDonald's. I did Chevrolet. So when I was a kid, I was an actor. Sandra, you definitely look outgoing and seem outgoing. So I'm sure you have
No,
similar
I'm pretty
kind of
shy in
personality.
general. I'm kind of quiet.
So I've never. Yeah, I thought
I've been an extra
assume,
in some films here in Connecticut.
so
I've been
I
an
think-
extra before.
Very cool.
Very fun.
That's cool. Oh, well, it is really fun. But I realized I'm not a good actor. I'm really just a passionate person that spends a lot of time thinking about how you can change the way you do business and, working with people to do that. So, it's been a really great mix of like my acting experience and enthusiasm, and I'm never really nervous about it.
So you didn't have that fear where they say like, the number one fear people have is dying and speaking in public. That wasn't a problem for you.
Never. That's never been a problem for me.
I embarrass
Sandra,
my
how about
family
you?
half the time, Andrew. They're like, you're not doing that. And I'm like, watch me. I don't really care. You're only related to me. In fact, I'm putting a poster together, Jen, on Canva. Jen knows a little bit about this. Talk about diving into a problem. You gave me that for advice. So I run a company with my daughters called Say It International, and we cause positive disruptions. And we're getting ready to pull off a mission in New York City because I was dared here on Blab. And we're going to be handing out these Say It Forward cards. They have messages on them. And it happened. It kind of sparked interest. It just got brought up recently here on Blab because 15 months ago, I actually, not caring what people thought, handed out these cards to everyone at Metro North in New Haven and watched people smile and come to life. So someone on Blab goes, I dare you to go to Grand Central and do it. So I'm like, okay. So I'm ready to dive into a problem, and the problem is negativity.
All right.
It's all around us. So I'm ready. I'm rolling up my sleeves. I don't care what anyone thinks.
You go with your bad self, Sandra.
That's awesome.
Sandra, I'm going to close your window out so I can.
That's audacious.
We're closing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jen. Great job. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. Always great to see you.
Bye.
So just a couple minutes left. If anybody wants to come in and say hi to Andrew and ask him a question, he's slowly sinking in the quicksand. Anybody, would you like to come in and say hi to Andrew? This book, for those of you who just joined us, is Andrew's latest book. It's called Town Inc. And it's fantastic. And David Meerman Scott said that it was one of the best business books he's read this decade. David Meerman Scott. Okay. That's huge. That's huge.
I know. That was shocking to me.
Okay. Let's bring Frank in and say hi to Frank.
Hey guys, how are you? Loving this Blab.
Hey, Frank.
Amazing. And, Andrew, I love what you're saying.
Thanks for
great insights and advice there. I changed my Twitter thing, as I said, so I'd love to get your feedback on that when you get a chance, maybe after the Blab. And to Sandra, who was just on, if you're coming to Grand Central, let me know. Maybe I'll meet you there. I'm in New York.
Awesome. Yes, she actually, it's going to be like a flash mob of positivity or something that she's doing, and she will be. I think she needs teammates. So
let me know, because I run a group, actually a Tony Robbins group in New York City, and I could probably build the flash mob if that's what she's trying to do.
Oh wow,
amazing!
That's awesome. What great! What a great connection.
Yes. Let me know,
Sandra. Yes. Frank and Sandra, actually, you guys should check out
who is it?
Anne-Marie Steen, I think is her name. It's like Anne-Marie Steen. I met her in Amsterdam. It's like I'll type it in. Hold on. Anne-Marie Steen. I think it's like that. She's an expert in play, like corporate play. Like she basically believes, kind of similar to what Sandra was saying, is that in the corporate environment you can actually learn a lot, and if you just kind of relaxed a little and did some fun things in a productive way. And Anne-Marie Steen did a similar project where she went to train stations around Europe, and she handed out bubbles to people, like where you dip in the thing and blow bubbles. And she basically broke down people into 3 types of people, and it was a really intriguing project. She has a great TED speech about it, but it might help you just kind of think about how that looks and even apply
awesome.
some of the things she learned. It was really interesting.
Yeah, and I've what's that?
What do you do? What do you do, Frank? Usually, are you usually doing finance consulting for all sorts of
companies,
random
entrepreneurs? Typically smaller companies that are scaling up or whatever. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started a medical device company. I'm a co-founder on a real estate development company. We're building a sports facility up in Westchester County, New York. Yeah, so I've gotten bitten by the entrepreneurial bug and love every aspect of starting and running companies. And for the medical device company, I was fundraiser in chief.
That's cool.
and helped raise more than $50 million for that company, which is now a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ.
Wow.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
man, congratulations! What a win! Well, I love. I'm so excited that you changed your.
It's been a hell of a lot of fun. And then, at that company years ago, I had read a book called Fish. You know that book?
Fish.
I don't know that book.
It's about.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's about the fish market in Seattle.
Pike Place Market?
Yeah, Pike Place Market. And they talk about how these guys, it was kind of like a dying spot and just a smelly fish market. Nobody wanted to go. But then they decided to just have fun every day. And that was the transformative thing. Have fun every day. And they started throwing the fish back and forth and, making funny names to each other and calling it out. And all of a sudden it became like a phenomenon, and people are going there to learn about business and engaging with employees and customers and having fun again in business. So it's a great book. It's one of those little business fables. It's 120 pages or something.
I love those.
Yeah, it's got 3 simple points. But we did an offsite at my company, and is that your pie chart up there or the Wheel of Fortune?
What is this? The Wheel of Fortune?
This is the Wheel of Awesomeness, and we're gonna spin it, and the people who are in the room have an opportunity to win. I'm going to buy you a copy of Andrew's latest book, and
I'll give it to
he's going to sign it for you. He's going to autograph it for you, okay?
Ooh.
So are we ready to do this?
Yes. Who's going to win? Who is
going to win? All right, here we go. And also, while we're spinning, I want to say hello to Mr. Heater, who's in the room. I've met him on Blab before, and he is North America's most popular brand of portable heaters and accessories. And I don't know if he heard, and he's really a smart marketer, and I don't know if he heard you talking about identifying with your town or something, but I hope he did, because that's really cool. Okay.
That's awesome.
Let me spin again. Okay.
Oh, she's spinning again. She didn't like the first person.
No, I didn't look. I'm not even kidding. It's Mr. Heater.
Okay, good.
I didn't do that on purpose, but you can.
Come on. Mr. Heater.
Yeah.
Okay, I swear. That's just a coincidence.
All right, I love the dancing.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, guys, you know what? I invented something this week on Blab, and I'm trying to make it into a thing. So I'm going to try it out with you guys. So let's, you guys, for Mr. Heater, Andrew, if you could give Jennifer what I'm calling the Blab high five. So stick your hand out like this. Other side. Yeah, Jennifer, try and hit his hand. You're going to give him a Blab high five.
This
Andrew,
way?
Other side, Andrew.
Side?
Yeah.
This doesn't seem right. We're both going the same way. Is this right?
That works.
On my screen they are. I don't know. Try it the right way on your screen.
Mine are inverted.
1, 2, 3.
Give me some skin over here.
Hey, Johnny, and you're leaving Frank hanging over down there.
Don't leave me hanging. Give me a Blab high five. There you go.
I love it.
That's funny. I like it.
You, Jen. Down low. There we go.
Okay. All right. Never a dull moment here on Blab.
Blab high five, baby. Make it a thing. Hashtag Blab high five.
Will do.
I love a good meme.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Jen,
All right.
Ben, I'll sign the book for Mr. Heater and I'll send it along.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who came today and joined us and all the great questions. And Andrew, to you, thank you so much. Janine, thank you for that beautiful piece of art down there. I can't wait to see the finished product. We'll tweet it out like crazy. And everybody go buy Andrew's book. And you know what? Buy a copy for like the people in your town, your chamber of commerce or whatever.
And I'm happy to chat with anyone on the Blab. So, shoot me a note on Twitter at TPL Drew. Janine, thank you so much. I can't wait to see this in full resolution. And I'll see you at Content Marketing World.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Bridget says, where do you prefer for people to buy your book? On your website or Amazon or what?
You know what? If you on Amazon always helps the rankings, but I have from my website, I have like a discount code I can give here. Try. I have, oh no, I forgot it. The discount code. Hold on. I'll grab it and I can give you. Okay. Okay, they'll pay full price. All right, thank you guys very much.
Yes, all right.
I got to run, Jen, but this has been awesome.
Thank you so much.
Bye guys.
Okay, bye.
I love it, Janine. Bye.
Okay.
Yay!
Oh wait, let's see here. Okay, let's see it. All right, this looks fantastic.
You still cannot hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
You can? Oh, good. Oh, thank you. Okay, good.
Yes, it looks great. All right, and so those of you who are interested in having Janine work with you, you can actually hire Janine to do a graphic recording of your virtual meeting, your webinar, your Blab. So go to your elevator speech. Perfect. So go to seeyourwords.com, because even though she did that on a big board, she can do it so that it's digital and you can use it in all sorts of ways. Like I've got a great one over here that she did from Twitter. And there's tech blokes on there and all sorts of good stuff.
Hi, tech blokes.
So I can use pieces of that in different parts of my marketing, the different images, because each image sort of tells a story. So it's pretty cool and great for blog posts and stuff. So, okay. Well, that wraps everything up.
And then I'll put it on your Twitter. I'll send it to you. I'll post it on Twitter for everybody.
Okay, awesome. All right, and for those of you who came late, you definitely want to go back and watch the replay. Andrew just gave amazing tips, so I really enjoyed it. Okay, so thanks everybody, and I'll see you at the next Blab.